This tutorial will demonstrate a workflow with Gem for mapping components over a design mesh. We will use Rhino as a CAD platform for generating both the design mesh and the components. You can use any other CAD software supporting OBJ files. First, create a surface in Rhino. Draw 3 curves. The cross-sectional curve was drawn in the front view, and 2 rails were drawn in the top view. Use the sweep 2 rails command to generate the surface. Select the first rail, select the second rail, and select the cross-section curve. Then use the rebuild command to rebuild your surface. Change the amount of U and V isocurves to set the sampling resolution of the surface, and change the degree to the first degree to get a facet result. To convert a surface to a mesh, select the From NURBS Control Polygon option from the Mesh menu. Select the surface and hit the Enter button. Then export the mesh as OBJ file. Select the Export Selected option from the File menu. Set file type to OBJ. And pay attention to these settings before pressing the OK button. Now I'm going to demonstrate quickly the process of generating various components with different opening dimensions. And these components will be populated later on in Gem over the design mesh according to a population map. Use 2-dimensional curves as the component's layout and extrude them using the Extrude Curve command to get a dimensional object. Pay attention to the cap option. It should be switched on to get close polysurface. Now convert each component to a mesh using the Mesh command. Select the component and use the Preview button to preview the mesh resolution. In this case, I will use the lowest resolution for each component. Repeat this process for the other components. Before moving on to Gem, export each component separately as an OBJ file. Select the mesh. From the File menu, select the Export Selected option. Set file type to OBJ. And repeat this process for the other components. Now let's switch to Gem. In Gem, first import the mesh. From the Mesh menu, select the Load Mesh option and select the OBJ file. Secondly, generate an offset. From the Mesh Offset console, select the Offset by Height method and set minimum and maximum values. Set minimum value to 1 and maximum value to 3. Toggle the invert option and press the offset button. The result is a reference mesh represented by the red mesh. The next stage is loading the sequential components we've created in Rhino into the components palette. Each component should be loaded into a different colored cell. First, select the colored cell, press the component status, and load the first OBJ file. The component is being displayed within the gem sampling queue. Now I'm going to flip the component's orientation. From the component setting console, press the flip YZ button. So the result is that the opening will span between the main mesh and the reference mesh. Repeat this process for the other components. Select the next colored cell and load the second OBJ file. Flip orientation. We can also load a component from the Components menu, load a component. Select the third colored cell, load a component, the third component, and flip orientation. Now we've got 6 different components with different opening dimension and orientation loaded into the first 6 colored cells. Our last stage will be the creation of a population map. In this example, I will use the Mapping by Targets option, and for this purpose, I will create 2 target points. First, press the Display Points button, and use the Control key and click to select targets. By pressing the Display Targets button, we can preview only the target points. Set the component range between 1 to 6 according to the number of the components we've been loaded, and press the Create Map button. The result is a colored population map. To preview the populated mesh, first toggle the Use Face Map option and press the Populate button. To save the result to a file, press the Save to File button and select one of the following options: DXF, OBJ, or VRML. We will use OBJ in this example. You can open the OBJ file in any CAD software supporting OBJ format. I will import the OBJ back into Rhino.